time that she claws me. So I'm going to do it again and have done.
I remember listening to a ghost story on one of my podcasts where it was like this woman had this pet like parakeet, and she used to give it kisses. She like, you know, I think it was one of those birds that learned to talk, and it would be like, so Eddie loves mommy. Give Eddie a kiss, mommy. And then like the lady would like and give a little kiss on its beak. Well, apparently she had a vet over. She had a vet over to do something with this bird, and apparently it did not like the vet. And so when she went to kiss the bird, it snapped on her lip and tore her lip, so that the vet had to do emergency surgery to sew it back on. And the story, it's like, oh, the person who ended up inheriting this bird was like, you know, even after that happened, she still gave this bird its daily kisses, which I don't think I would have done if that had happened to me. So I'm like, whenever my friends are like, my cat clawed my face, but really it's so sweet. I'm like, that cat wants to eat you.
No, she's on her binky right now. She's so sweet.
Would you go to the ends of the earth? Save that cat? Like Keanu?
I would. Just like in Keanu. Yeah. Hey, guys. Yay, we've got two of our favorites back here. Mr. Andres, hola, 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 hola. And Crystal, hey.
Yes.
Yeah, happy to see you too. It's Friday, guys. We're already talking about pets, which we'll piggyback off of our movie choice. It is the last day of the month for our talk. Last weekday in February. And at the end of our episode today, we will be revealing March's calendar, which is going to be really exciting, especially Crystal, because Crystal's one of our Patreons, so she's got a movie pick that's on there. Yeah. Chad would have brought the bird back.
I'm like, I wouldn't keep kissing that damn bird's beak. Never. But, you know, the funny thing, the end of that story was that after the person died and they were clearing out the house, you know, and like I think it was the lady's like daughter and like her best friend or something, or her sister or something were there. And like they were sitting at the table and this bird was still in the same place it always is in this kitchen or whatever. And then they felt like a big cold of like rush air, like rush through them. Mm-hmm. And so right as like the sister was like going to be like, did you just feel that? And then the bird is like, Eddie loves mommy. Eddie, give mommy a kiss. Give Eddie a kiss, mommy. Like the birds like clearly saw his mommy in the room, was like, and that's what it would do every time she would come in the room, would always do that. And so then they were like, oh my God, get rid of this damn bird. Which they did.
Well, two can play at that game. Yep. Luke, tell us that you went to a movie theater, but I hope you had fun. Yeah, I think Tom and Jerry is probably going to be on streaming things. I kind of do want to watch it. That's one where it's like I'd want to see it, but I'm kind of glad that I wouldn't have to go see it in theaters. Maybe.
Like, do I want to pay $18 to see that movie?
Yeah, kind of like last night's pick, Keanu. Which
I think we paid about the amount I would expect to pay to watch this movie.
Yeah. Did I enjoy it? Did I laugh out loud a few times? Yes. Would I have paid to see this in theaters? Did I pay to see this in theaters? No. But I really did think this was fun. I thought that Keegan-Michael Key and Jordan Peele, especially Keegan-Michael Key, though, were just hysterical in this. Especially some of the things, because, you know, Keegan-Michael Key's character is, he's a dad, and his wife's like, oh, let loose this weekend, I'm gonna be gone, and he gets wrapped up with all of these like gangsters and drug dealers, and he's trying to act all gangster, and like just seeing him kind of adjust to that, I thought was pretty hysterical. I was like,
oh yes, it was, and also
a white guy is like, I am not. Yeah, it was fun.
That line was hilarious.
Yeah, and the whole George Michaels thing too. Like
oh my God, yes.
Yeah, too.
The development of the George Michael obsession was like.
Yeah, and I will say too, like all the stuff actually with the kitten, especially like, you know, just like his absolute love, me having my cat Lydia, and she's still technically a kitten. She's getting bigger, but she's about 5, 6 months old. I really kind of felt that of like it's your
The cat,
baby.
like every single person, like their deal breaker was like, no, you can't have the cat.
Yeah.
And then, I was like, that was the only thing. I'm like, I want more cat in this movie.
There should have been more cats in this, considering we picked this for our cat, but we hadn't seen this before, we didn't know, but we were actually right about, we were like, okay, Keanu Reeves is also in this. Does he voice the cat? Does the cat talk? And cat did talk in one scene.
In that one moment.
Yes.
And it was funny how different Keanu Reeves' voice sounds when you don't see his face. Because there's a lot of actors where it's like, even though it's wonderful to hear them do voice acting, because you get to hear how they act with just the voice as their tool, mm-hmm. and they can't use their face or their body because that's done for them by the animation or whatever. So like a movie like Coraline, what was that? Mm-hmm. Terry Hatcher is like the one who voices the mother and the other mother, and it's like one of her best performances, and it's like, oh, you realize all the really rich, beautiful qualities of her voice, but you don't associate it with the characters that you normally see her play, because she usually doesn't play very good characters. But it's like, oh, somehow she got like the best role of her career where she's just using her voice, and it was beautiful. But because you were so totally separated from what she looks like or who she usually is on screen, because you just had the voice. And so I was like, you're assuming you're accustomed to a little bit of like that kind of feeling, but it was like a little more pronounced with this cat. I was like, I'm not feeling like the Stoned Surfer vibe with his voice that you usually feel, because his face is usually very blank. It's not super expressive as other actors use their faces in their acting do. So it was really weird. I was like, oh, that is his voice, because I kept waiting, like, where are we gonna hear? When? I'm like, this cat hasn't spoken yet.
Where is Keanu? But everything in this too, just even like, there's this strip club and they're like, HPV.
Where the legs or the V.
It was dumb. It was predictable. I knew Tiffany Haddish was, well, some people may still have not seen this. I knew she was someone someone else.
Yes.
And then the whole Anna Faris bit too was insane.
That I totally forgot. I didn't even remember she was in it, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is hysterical!" That whole moment.
She actually is supposed to be Anna Faris. He's like, "I love you in House Bunny," by the way.
No.
Then she's like, "I was in Scary Movie 1, 2, 3, and 4. I was too old for part 5."
Made you remember, like, they got lots of good comic actors in this movie who all got to have a really fun bit to do.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things in this movie that are genuinely enjoyable without any regret or guilt. It's not like a hate watch, enjoy movie. There is a lot to enjoy. It is a really silly and dumb movie. It was more violent than I was expecting. I'm like, a lot of people die very violently in this comedy.
Yeah.
I also didn't realize that it was them playing the Phantom until the credits, and I was like, oh my god.
I had read that actually from my when I looked this up on IMDb yesterday. It did mention that they played 2 characters, but I kind of had forgotten about it until I started watching the movie today, and then I was like, oh, it's them. But oh boy. It was fun. It was really fun. It was about everything. Now, I don't know.
Wait a minute. He didn't direct Get Out. The director of this didn't. Jordan Peele didn't direct this, did he?
No. He helped. I think he co-wrote it. But no, he did not direct this.
I was like, Andres, you scared me. I'm like, you're about to shatter some of my belief system with that.
I'm just going to double check. I'm pretty sure he did not direct this.
Maybe he did. Who knows?
This was directed by Peter Atencio.
Okay.
Who has also, he did some Twilight Zone episodes. And he worked on Key and Peele a lot as a director. So someone that obviously they had worked with quite a bit. Yeah.
Okay, good. Phew. I mean, not that the snake bit wasn't funny with what Will Forte is like, no, not my Dayla. Like, and he's breaking his records. Oh my god, that character was hilarious too. But I've totally forgotten about him till the end. And he's like, "Can someone help me? This is really hurting now." And he's like half swallowed by the snake.
Like you kind of you forget about it, and then you just open up like, oh yeah, he's still in the trunk with this giant.
That's a great
snake.
comic thing that more directors should remember. It's like, hey, if you're gonna start a joke, you can, and it works. You can get a lot of mileage out of that joke if you just follow up with it.
Make it worse.
You just remember that it happened, and people get so delighted when it's like, oh my god, this person remembered something that happened earlier in the movie, and we get to follow it. Somehow that makes an audience's brain click and enjoy even more. To use modern parlance, I guess. But that's why we go all the way back to Lubitsch when he would do that in his movies. Like, if you saw a joke, that was not the end of that joke. He would come back to it and get more out of it. It's like, and it's like, hey, I appreciate that they did that throughout this movie. And they did really find the most adorable kitten. So, like,
I know. Well, obviously, Lydia was the most adorable and continues to be the most adorable.
Lydia wasn't in existence.
Kittens, yeah, she wasn't even born yet. I don't know if her parents were born yet. But really, really just like fun movie. I do still recommend to people. And like I said, I'm just glad I didn't pay to see in theaters. But, I easily paid $3 to rent this movie.
Wait a minute. Walter just said that a friend said I sound like Vince Vaughn. I mean, I do think I have Vince Vaughn's current jowls, and general face shape. But sound, I'd like to think I'm a better singer than Vince Vaughn, although I've never heard him sing.
I like Vince Vaughn. Yeah, Vince Vaughn's cool. That's cool.
Well, yeah, jury's out now. He got kind of weird for a little bit there, but
let's talk about.
But I love being compared to celebrities. One time I walked down the street and some woman told me I looked like Allen Ginsberg. That was a tough one for me because as a writer, I'd be like, oh, that is a great compliment. I'm like, but you thought I looked like him. Look up pictures of Allen Ginsberg and you tell me if you think that's a compliment. So Vince Vaughn definitely, good comparison. Thank you.
Well, let's move on. Let's talk about today's and this weekend's movie pick, The Broken Hearts Club, a baseball movie.
So Amy thought because of this picture, but I do not have any memory. I have hardly any memory of people playing the sport of baseball in this movie, but I do know they're supposed to be on a team.
Yeah.
Together, but it's like a social thing. Like it's about their social lives.
That's why I wore this backwards hat. This actually is a Padres hat because I didn't get a chance to shower today yet, so I just wanted to hide that and be on brand for the film. This movie came out in 2000. An insight into the turbulent lives and loves of a gay clique based in Los Angeles. They also play baseball. Starring Timothy Olyphant, Matt McGrath, Zach Braff is in this. Billy Porter.
Yes.
Justin Theroux has a role in this. Ben
I was telling you all the people.
Talk about like a 90s. Oh, wait. I'm thinking the wrong guy. Ben Weber. There was the other guy that's on the cover. Wait, what's his name?
Which one?
This other guy that's on the posters. He's been the one.
Also, Dean Cain.
Is that Dean Cain?
Bottom row. I can't see his face clearly enough. It has to be bigger. Well, let me see.
No, that's not better. Anyway, I'm trying to find his name. He's been in a lot
at the
of stuff,
time
though.
it was a big deal because Dean Cain was playing Superman on TV. Although he was probably the biggest star at the time in the movie, but then of course Zach Braff went on to be a big star. Justin Theroux, Timothy Olyphant. I don't know if big star I would say with Timothy Olyphant, but very enjoyable actor who had way more. I wouldn't say he was a star on the level of like a Zach Braff. I think Zach Braff had more high profile work than
you mean at the time?
Timothy Olyphant.
at the time
No,
or
I mean
no?
afterwards. Like, Zach Braff had,
Oh, David Oliphant,
really a
he
hit
was in
miniseries, and
Justified. He was the lead on Justified. He was in Deadwood. He's been the lead in several TV shows.
I would say Zach Braff has been more successful. He's directed and produced and starred in major internationally known films in addition to doing
Well,
hit television series. So that's where
okay.
I'm coming from there. You aren't going to put Timothy Oliphant at the top of the list on a major Hollywood blockbuster, I bet,
He's
if you had.
hotter.
Well, I agree he's hotter. I just think the person who had a bigger career after was the person who made Garden State, even though I don't even really like that movie. But
I like Garden State. I do like Garden State.
it's pretty. I'll give you that.
Movie, I still have not seen this movie. This is one that came up. We were coming up with our February calendar. We knew we wanted to go with more of these typical romantic comedies for our Fridays. And this was on several lists. Like we would seriously just Google best romantic comedies, and all these lists would show up. And this was on every list, which I thought, like, wow, like I haven't even heard of this movie, and here this is on here. And here, right in the title, The Broken Hearts Club, a romantic comedy. I think that actually is technically the full title of this film.
Well, because it's all men on the cover, so I'm sure some like confused straight people in the year 2001 were like, how can this be a romantic comedy? There's no women here.
It's a baseball movie.
But yeah, I think that's also why they have them in the baseball uniforms, is they thought maybe somehow this would entice someone to at least buy a ticket and stay longer than 20 minutes so they can't ask for their money back. Like, I don't know. But I just remember that at the time there was not a lot to choose from when you're looking for images of yourself in a movie, if you're a gay person. And so it was like, oh, a tradition, a formulaic romantic comedy that has gay people instead of straight people was like, one of the big small favors you could ask for as a gay film viewer. And so this movie, a lot of people watch this movie, even though most of the people in this film most of the gay characters are played by straight actors, with the exception of Billy Porter, who has a small role in here. But like I said, it was like, oh my God, Dean Cain is playing gay in a movie. Like, that's a career risk for him. We don't want people to think that playing gay is a risk. Let's support this movie. Plus, we don't have any other romantic comedies out there that have this many well-known actors at some point, or soon to be well-known actors in them.
Yeah.
So I bought this movie on DVD. I've had this movie. I think I still have that DVD from 20 years ago or whatever. But it was like a touchstone movie for me because I felt like I could go to the movie theater and see a story about my community in some way, even though most of these characters are also entirely white. But there was like nothing. There was almost nothing.
So this was a really low budget. This had an estimated $1 million budget, and it made little over $2 million. So it made money.
It made something. Some of the gay men turned out for the movie. It wasn't exactly in like every single movie theater. It was probably one of those movies that maybe got to like 500 to 1,000 screens tops, like nationwide. Not a lot of theaters probably played it. I'm sure Kalamazoo Multiplex didn't have this playing as an option. You probably had to drive to Kansas City or something or whatever,
Yeah.
Wherever the hell Kalamazoo is. I can't even remember. Is it Michigan? Someone can correct me on that.
Yeah, this seems like at the time, and this even happens sometimes now, but especially 20 years ago, I'm sure this movie, if this showed up in a smaller town theater, there would probably be protests.
Yes, like, people complaining that
you're ruining the minds of our children. You're going to turn them gay.
Yeah, with this perversion, how dare you?
Yes.
I'm like, it's just like a silly romantic comedy where nobody actually has sex in the film. Like,
they're too busy
tons
playing
of
baseball.
Other movies. It's like, that's how you get your movie to play in more theaters, is if you don't have a sex scene and they're gay, if they're gay.
Yeah, and that's something. How do you think?
But yes, Walter, thank you for bringing up Making Love. Because that was a movie that before this, there was like a romantic drama. Like the first time that Hollywood tried to do a romantic drama was this movie in like 1982, I think it was. called Making Love, and it had the guy who played Hercules. What's his name? Mr. Lisa Rinna. What's his name? I can't remember it right now. Harry Hamlin, yes. It's down there. Harry Hamlin and Michael Ontkean, who we would later know as the sheriff in Twin Peaks. They play these gay characters who fall in love, and one of them is married to a woman. It's like a pretty simple story, but they even had a disclaimer on this movie when it played in theaters. The print of the movie, every print of the movie had a disclaimer basically warning that you're going to be witnessing an adult story, and it's a really brave and courageous film that dares to embrace love in all its forms kind of message. It's like this disclaimer to like help you feel okay that this crazy thing was going to happen on screen where two men kiss, and that's all that happens. And then you get to this movie 20 years later, and still really all you're seeing is men kissing in a movie that gets played in wider release. And movies that had men actually having sex are the ones that 250 theaters. Like wherever there's a landmark theater, it'll get a week there, and then it's out of town. So I don't think Tate Donovan is in this, Luke. But Making Love, it was like legendary at the time because everyone thought it was so forward thinking. And it's like, when you watch the movie, they take off their shirts and then they start to kiss and the camera kind of drifts away and focuses on this mirror with all these baubles hanging on it. And then you don't see them actually you never see the characters actually make love in the movie Making Love. And you're like, okay, so I guess, that's a step in the right direction. And then it just seems like Hollywood kind of stepped in place for ever. And even to the point where now the movies that got the most attention at the Oscars, that get all the awards, Philadelphia, The Gay Man Dies of AIDS, you never see him making love. You Call Me By Your Name. It's like, again, they start to make out and then the camera pans away and you see these pretty trees. And then you come back and, they're done making love. Wasn't that beautiful? And I'm like, okay, Moonlight was literally like shadows and a hand. I'm like, God, we're still at this place. So I am not going to condemn this movie for those reasons. Because 20 years ago, they're doing the same thing that Moonlight and Call Me By Your Name are doing in terms of depicting male affection and romance. So I encourage you to just watch the movie and find the other problems that may present themselves, because I have not seen this for many years. It'll be fun though to revisit, because I watched this a lot, and it was like you'd watch it with your friends. Like this was a bonding thing for your other gay friends, was that you'd seen this movie and you had a movie to go see in the theaters, and had a lot of Until Queer as Folk on Showtime.
I know this is another one. This is another one that's
another one where
about,
they kind of show a little bit more, a tiny bit more. But again, they kind of cut away when the actual sex happens. If there was actual sex in any of those movies, they probably would not have been nominated for Oscars. And they all know that that's how the deal works. Of course, this movie was never going to be up for any Oscars. But seeing Dean Cain play like this gay Lothario in this community where he's just like a player, and I'm like, it felt him. It was weird, even though we're not having gay actors play most of these characters. It felt kind of empowering to see like all these other people, like trying to show that, hey, a role is a role, and we can all play any role, and it doesn't matter if you're gay. Like it was like every one of these actors who takes a role like this in a movie is basically trying to also make a statement to you, like, I see you, and you're fine, and I love you, and you're great, like as much as they can for being a star. So, I'm not super mad, but I would have liked to have seen more gay people play some of these roles.
Yeah,
especially
and that's something that I know that you feel very strongly about, and certainly there needs to be more representation by people who are actually gay playing gay characters. I saw recently there was some quote from Kristen Stewart where she said something, or I think maybe someone asked her, kind of like, well, what do you think about straight actors playing gay characters? And she said, like, well, with that logic, then I could never play a straight character again. Like,
I mean, I do think.
What are your thoughts on that?
I would say I think that I don't always like that response, because I think that's a disingenuous response. I think it doesn't acknowledge the fact that gay people have been relegated. If you're known to be gay in Hollywood or in any, almost any film industry and anywhere in the world, you are pretty much restricted then to playing gay characters. You're no longer looked at as an actor who can play straight just because you're openly gay. So they automatically assume nobody will believe you as a straight person because we know that you're gay, and being gay is still so taboo that people cannot think of someone being gay without picturing them in a sexual act. And they don't like to picture that. So there's like, they know the audience this is kind of still how the mindset is for a lot of people when it comes to sexuality. So gay actors are always restricted to playing gay characters. And whenever there is a gay character, it's like whenever we finally get movies that are made about icons in our community, like we get a movie like Milk, great movie, but we finally like, okay, well, if we're only allowed to play gay characters, then how about when you have a movie about major gay people, it's going to be a big movie, then naturally gay actors you would think that, okay, if you think all I can do is play gay, then I should have a shot at this. Well, every time those kind of roles come up, almost just about every gay actor is completely eliminated from consideration for those roles. They know that if they get a straight actor to play those roles, that straight actor is going to get an Oscar nomination if the movie's good enough or has enough support. So a movie like Milk has all the gay characters played by straight people. You know, all like Philadelphia, Tom Hanks is not a gay person. He gets nominated. Almost every single example of a gay character where that actor who played them is nominated for an Oscar, it's always a straight actor playing the gay character. So there's already an assumption built in that gay actors will never be able to actually get those roles, those big roles. Those are always going to be almost exclusively reserved for straight actors, whether they can play it or not. So it's kind of churlish to then be like, oh, well, you're trying to say that I can't play this and only this kind of person can play that. It's not about that. If we lived in a better world where everybody would just be considered based on their acting talent alone, you know, then you have something, but you can't restrict a whole community's acting abilities to one specific sector of roles that for a long time was like decorators and best friends, nobody who had sex lives, you know. So you just saw these people, you never got to see gay people having their own lives, which this movie kind of changed. Like, oh, here's a gay social circle. This is like a world. There's a world out there. Like, even this is a fantasy version of it. You know, it gave me a picture that, hey, there is a world out there like that. But gay actors weren't even hired, even though the person who I think wrote and directed this is a gay person. I think he had to contend with the same thing in making his movie. So there were probably a lot of gay actors who didn't even get these roles then. Or, you know, how many were even out at the time? Mm-hmm. How many of these guys are in the closet? We don't really know, you know. We just know that Billy Porter is here, and I'm glad that he had some work as far back as 2001.
Yeah. And, you know, it's crazy to think that Timothy Olyphant, this came out in 2000, he had already been married for 9 years at that point. As we were talking yesterday about, like, is Timothy Olyphant married? Is he married?
He is for a long time. They were both disappointed.
For, like 30 years. So this will be his 30th year. But, you know, good for him. Good for him. Well, thank you, Samir, for that that insight. That's something that, you know, I can't offer that perspective. So I appreciate it when you are willing to discuss things like that from your
always. I'm surprised I cut myself off so soon.
So this movie is available on Pluto TV, which is free. I don't know if I've watched anything on Pluto yet, so I can't speak to how many ads there are, if any. But it might be fairly similar to Tubi as far as the ads that they show.
I think a little bit more in the ads department, but this is not the kind of movie where you're like, you know, you're not watching like a masterpiece of cinema where this incredible cinematic sequence is like, suddenly you're like, oh, how long are you going to be gone? Just a Quibi. You know, like, Quibi's dead and gone already. But for a while on Pluto, every commercial break would be like the same 2 or 3 commercials over and over and over and over and over and over again.
That's what a lot of
Quibi commercials
streaming services do that have ads. It's they play the same ads over and over and over again. It's like, I'm still not going to buy this product. You could pound this through my head. I don't. Like, I'm not buying a Toyota. I'm not buying any car right now. Okay.
Like, this is a fail on your part, Jeffrey Katzenberg. Quibi was never going to work.
Yeah. Anywho, but this is available on Pluto. Anyone, it's just, you could probably watch it on your computer. It's definitely an app you can get. So check it out. Yeah, we're getting confirmed that there's plenty of ads, but it's free. You know, if you don't
It
like
is
that,
free.
go ahead, pay a couple bucks and rent it if you can't stand to sit through ads. Either way, but it is available for free.
But yes, this will be fun. Just this, yes, Luke. Jeffrey Katzenberg is responsible for the creation and failure of Quibi. Although, one good thing Jeffrey Katzenberg did was bring Howard Ashman and Alan Menken to Disney, because we would not have had Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, or Aladdin without that partnership.
Yeah,
and a lot of the other great Disney films that came after, and some of the bad ones. But every now and then he had an eye for talent that cannot be denied, and he really picked a great one there. So who knows what'll happen when he goes to heaven? They may have questions about Quibi.
Before we reveal our March calendar, let's talk about our Patreons who help shape our calendars each month. It is Patreon Appreciation Friday. Samir, why don't you read those names off?
Well, we'd like to start by thanking our persistent day player, Walter Murray, who also donates enough privately so that he can continue to help us craft our calendars each month, in addition to our screenwriters, Aunt Julia. Thank you. We love you. And my dear theater friend, Crystal Maya, who I have not seen in far, far too long. But at least we can have these little movie nights virtually through the Book Club for Movies. So thank you for your contributions to the calendar as well. And of course, the production assistants, without whom we could not pay for at least 3 of our streaming services. Nicole Flax, Tatlock, Andres Gallego, and Donna Robinson. Thank you so much. Also, because so many of you also tune in all the time. You made it like a real book club. Instead of bringing sandwiches, you make a little donation to the club. Like if we could meet in person, just imagine the hors d'oeuvres we would make for each other.
Boy, Samir and I, we can throw some parties, and we've actually never thrown a party together, and we know it would be epic. But yeah, we really appreciate it so much. It really does make a difference. Again, we do not get paid to do this. It costs $30 a month for us to just even use Be Live, which is what we were going live on. If you are interested in becoming a Patreon, I put the link over there in the comments. Yeah, we appreciate it so much.
Ooh, Andres wants to come to the party. Well, you're gonna have to come to California, boo.
Come on out.
And Luke, I did know these things about Jeffrey Katzenberg because that's a common thing with him. He has an eye for the talent, but he also has a terrible eye for what should stay in a movie to make it still be good. Because he wanted to cut part of your world from Little Mermaid.
Oh, that's right. That was something in the
that he was like, oh, this is slow. Kids aren't going to want to pay attention. They're like, this is the emotional heart of the entire movie. Can you just fuck off, please?
And I think of watching videotapes of my older sister when she was 3 years old. Like, we have a videotape of her walking around my house singing Part of Your World at the top of her lungs. Like, she's 3. Yeah, kids are going to like this. Come on.
Kids are going to like this. But yes, Luke, you were invited too. We'll have then we can all have a road trip down to Disneyland and Universal Studios, and we can go to Spago at the end of it or something. I don't know.
Spago, yes.
I know.
Okay, I know you guys
are dreaming wild today.
We're waiting for the March calendar. But before the March calendar, I want to look over a February calendar. We did this last month where let us know what your favorite movie was. I don't know, go ahead and put in the comments. Samir, what do you think was your favorite movie? Like, whether something you had seen before and were revisiting, or you had never seen. Which do you think was the standout film for you this month?
There were 2 for me. One was Color Adjustment by Marlon Riggs, and the other was Sounder, that we just watched this week. I think just revelatory moments of movie watching for me with those movies. Just so incredible. And I'm just so glad that I hope that other people watched them as well. And of course, the cat movies were persistent joy. So Gay Paris was the one I had not seen since I was very young. I had barely a memory of an image from that movie. That's all I retained. So that was delightful. But definitely the most like the most revelatory moments was color adjustment and sounder. What about for you?
I mean, there are ones that I just like absolutely enjoy so much, like Down with Love. That's always one of my big favorites. Um, and I would
Oh
put that
yeah.
at the same enjoyment level as all the other cat films. But I think the standout ones for me, especially things I hadn't seen before, would be A Raisin in the Sun and Judas and the Black Messiah. I was just really inspired by all of the performances in it. Those were both Man
Mm,
Crush Monday picks. I really hadn't seen very much, especially for A Raisin in the Sun, that Sidney Poitier was in, and it was really great to see him. We
mm.
fell in love with one of the other actors in it, who is going to be on our calendar in just a moment. Um, yeah, but I mean, there were really. I thought this. I mean, I don't know. I think I enjoyed watching every single one of these deep down. For
Yes.
various reasons. I mean, just watching Groundhog Day again was always fun. Um, of course, I haven't watched Broken Hearts Club yet. That could be a new favorite sneaking on in there.
Could
But
be, could be. You never know.
yeah, we put a lot of work into these calendars. There's a lot of heated debate between the two of us of picking. We only have so much, and believe me, there was some heated debate for the March calendar.
Well, we started making so we thought we had finalized it, and I was like, okay, we both agreed to all the movie choices, and then I looked at it, and I'm like, Amy, almost every single movie is a love story between a
Which is
man and a
so
woman.
much. Yeah,
Like
so let's.
almost every single movie was this. I was like, I just can't. Like my brain will not allow this to be. We have to mix this up more. We have to put different stuff in there that's not just fantasies of romance that we wish could be like there's still plenty in there, but we did replace some choices because I could not let it stay that way. I'm like, we just did like romantic movies and cat movies and
Yeah, well, we definitely still have some romances on our March calendar, but here we go. Without further ado, here
oh, thank you,
is
Stephen.
our March calendar. I'm going to hide us over here. So, yeah, so it's March. We're kicking it off with another. We have both these last 2 months have started with our Patreon pick from Mr. Walter Murray. We're kicking things off with Paul Newman and The Hustler. Monsoon Wedding, Uptight. We are highlighting Ruby Dee, who was the actress I just talked about in A Raisin in the Sun. We were just like, oh, she's amazing. For our genre Thursdays this month, we have decided to focus on fantasy films. And we tried to really give a lot of variety as to what kind of fantasy films. The first one would be John Cocteau's Beauty and the Beast. Crystal's going to be happy. Friday, her first Friday, we've got Varsity Blues. That was her number one choice for the list of things that she gave us. We'll be talking about Fred Astaire, a Terrence Malick film, The New World, which just happens to star Colin Farrell, my absolute favorite. Another Patreon pick from my Aunt Julia, highlighting Sophia Loren, A Little Princess, Romeo and Michelle's high school reunion, and then this third week, the 17th, is St. Patrick's Day. So that whole week, we are having a Irish week, highlighting Irish actors and filmmakers and stories. So all of these films are both by Irish directors and feature Irish actors, starting with Cillian Murphy on Breakfast on Pluto, In the Name of the Father, Brooklyn, The Secret of Roan Inish for our Irish fantasy film, and yes, Andres Frank. Frank is a fun one for a cult classic Irish movie pick. We're bringing Danny Glover back, who we watched last month in The Color Purple, but he's one of those actors that he has had such a long and amazing career and hasn't gotten a lot of actual award recognition for anything, and he deserves it because he's amazing. Scarlet Empress, Perfect Sense, which is one of my favorite sci-fi films. Our last fantasy film for the month will be Princess Mononoke. Yes, Luke, there is a sequel to Grease, Grease 2. Frank does have Michael Fassbender in it. So I did get another one of my favorite Irish actors in that week. Finishing off that week, March is only part of that week with Love Songs, In the Mood for Love, and The Gang's All Here with the Tutti Frutti Hat.
Let's see, I think we did good to edit it and change a couple things. I love the mix that we have. And clearly the club likes a lot of these picks too.
Yes, so we will be highlighting Saoirse Ronan, of course. I got two movies with two of my favorite actors in here, Colin Farrell and Michael Fassbender, who, of course, are both Irish as well. I have a lot of Scottish and Irish in my heritage. Samir has some Irish as well. So we're like, we gotta throw a little bit to our ancestry here and have we couldn't pull off a whole Irish month. As we soon found out, there are actually very few Irish directors, and there's a lot of crossover of there actually was a point we played with this Irish week a lot, and at one point we had 3 movies by the same director. We were like, oh, we should change that.
And we did. And look, I think that's a really lovely sample. We cover a lot of ground in that Irish week. I think it's beautiful.
We do. And I am determined to have mastered an Irish accent by the end of that week. It's going to be really annoying. Just telling you guys right now. Warning you all.
You're going to have to know. I know. So that was another one. Darby O'Gill and the Little People was a thought too. There was a lot. Like I was also thinking of John Ford's movies because John Ford was he's very famously proud of his Irish heritage.
Kelly's kind of known for his Irish heritage as well.
There was a lot that we could. Well, Luke, if you want to become a screenwriter, Tia, just for 1 month, you can make that your Patreon pick. You can just Venmo whatever. But but who knows? Maybe it'll still fit in there somewhere because I don't know. But is it on Disney Plus app yet or not? That I can't remember.
I don't know.
But if it is, it's an option we'll try to remember. See, Crystal.
Irish and Puerto Rican. Yeah, so it's going to be a really fun month. We're highlighting 2 non-white directors. Usually we are only able to do 1, but we have 5 days this month. But we always try to highlight either someone who's non-white director or a female director. We have both with Monsoon Wedding and Mira Nair. I'm really excited to learn more about pretty much everyone in here. All these films. Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you guys are happy with the calendar. I will be posting this image in the Book Club for Movies Facebook group and on our Instagram. And I always actually print this calendar out and put it on my refrigerator. Sometimes this is the only way I will know what day it is. I look, this quarantine, Groundhog Day monotony. This is how I know what day it is. I'm like, oh yeah, it's Wednesday. It's Woman Crush Wednesday, and we're going to talk about Ruby Dee. And that's how I plan my life. So I'm glad you guys are happy with this calendar. We're probably already going to start working on April's calendar.
Because it's Oscar month.
Yeah, April's calendar is going to take some serious strategic planning. We'll keep you guys updated on that, especially our screenwriter Patreons, because we will have some strict criteria as far as you picking out a movie. And it is likely, it's always at our discretion, it is likely that we might turn down your first choice if it doesn't fit with our thing.
Well, if it's going to be something like Crash.
We're not doing Crash. Telling you right now, we're not doing Crash.
Telling you now that is never going to be considered.
We're not doing Green Book.
We just are not going to pick that. But they will. It has to have an Oscar connection. So there has to be the movie has to have won an Oscar or been.
Yeah.
Or we may have a category that's like movies that we think should also be best picture winners or something like that. So there's a movie that was really great that you love that you think should have won, and a lot of other people think too. Like, hey, keep that little bugaboo in your head when you're coming up with your choices for April.
And actually, Crystal, if that's still the choice you want to do, we actually probably will. I think we both know what choice you're talking about. That is one we are planning. So that could be your choice. If you have another option, we're probably going to do that one anyway. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No.
Yeah. There will be. We'll go over. We're gonna be fine
Yes,
tuning
and it's
this.
something we'll give the
And announce.
criteria to our Patreons because we don't want to give too much away with what we're
I
going to do.
know.
But for our final February film, please watch The Broken Hearts Club, a romantic comedy and baseball movie. Again, available on Pluto. They've got to play baseball in it somewhere. Available on Pluto. You can watch this for free with ads. Thank you guys so much for watching today, and we'll see you guys on Monday. In March, we'll be discussing Paul Newman and the amazing life and career and I cannot talk right now. Philanthropic work that he did. That's the word. I got it. All right. Thank you guys.